Hello, everyone. I'm James Zervios, OAC's Vice President and Chief of Staff of the Obesity Action Coalition. And today we're going to be talking with a panel of OAC community members to discuss the topic of body positivity and obesity. Joining me today are Liz Paul, Michelle Tedder, Marty Enochson, Sarah Bramlett, and Melinda Watman. Let's get right into the discussion. Liz, let's start with you. What is body positivity and how does it relate to people with obesity?
Well, body positivity grew out of societal weight bias and stigma. And it's the response that all people deserve to have a positive body image, regardless of how society and popular culture view the ideal body shape or size. And that can be a really empowering and important thing for people living with mental health and people living with obesity to improve their mental health and to improve their relationship with their body, which has often been really influenced by weight bias and stigma.
Melinda, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree with Liz. I also think that there's a component of body positivity that is very difficult, in that it sounds wonderful to accept your body, have it be, your best friend in a way, and not let society impose itself on it, on your thoughts, your feelings about your body. But I think body positivity, in one way, is very hard. People with obesity believe that their bodies are flawed, believe that we're not okay physically. And so I think despite some of the controversy about body positivity, it's a hard thing to achieve and even get there, to feel really good about your body.
Sarah, I know you've spoken publicly about this, and can you share some thoughts with us as well? I mean, what are some of the misconceptions about people with obesity and body positivity?
I think one of the misconceptions is when we're out there just enjoying our daily lives and just living life, maybe posting a picture of us being on vacation, the reaction usually is people saying, oh, you're promoting obesity and you're promoting an unhealthy lifestyle. And I think, how is a picture of me enjoying the beach an unhealthy lifestyle? It's not even, most of the time it's not even showing me eating a meal or doing anything that would be considered unhealthy. It's just me existing. And so the idea that me being positive about my body and what I'm able to do and enjoy is somehow a negative just because of my size. And I think we see it whenever people react to Lizzo or some of the plus size models. I mean, they're just doing their jobs. I mean, Lizzo was out there dancing and singing at the same time, and yet everyone's like, oh no, she's glorifying an unhealthy, body size. And I think, what? How is that? Who else can sing, dance, and play a flute, for that long of a period of time? That's not unhealthy in my, perspective.
Marty, I think I'd like to pose the same question to you as well. I mean, what do you think are some of the misconceptions?
Well, I agree with Sarah in what she said specifically about Lizzo, and my own personal experiences. I get out and I dance. I'm a disc jockey, for heaven's sakes, and I've been a disc jockey for probably 35 years now. So at my heaviest weight of 505 pounds, my nickname was 2 tons of fun Marty. And it's like, I didn't have this lifestyle that was, sit behind the disc jockey table and not do anything. I am out there. I am getting you partying and socializing and having a great time. So I agree that, we are looked at and told that we shouldn't be dancing and we shouldn't be doing this because we're glorifying it. And it's like, I'm just living my life. And I think that as a human being that lives with obesity and has been living with obesity for 40 plus years, it's like, I'm tired of being told what I can't do, and I'm now doing what I want to do and live my life and not worry about what every person is saying.
And Melinda, I'd like to come back to you for a second. Can you share any misconceptions about people with obesity and body positivity?
Yeah, I think one thing personally, so I lived in a much larger body for many years, most of my adult life and childhood. And now I'm in a smaller body, and body positivity still is part of how I am. It still affects me. I still think of my body and try to reconcile my body. And so, in a way, body positivity is something that I work towards. I don't think it glorifies obesity. I don't think it glorifies anything. I think it gives people an opportunity to just look at themselves and say, I'm okay, and the health component has is a separate conversation.
Michelle, I'd like to pose a question to you that I think I often hear debated time and time again. Can you be body positive and still want to lose weight?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, well, let me go back to how Liz started the conversation when she talked about what body positivity really is. And I'm going to take that a little step further. And it's kind of a backdoor way to answer your question. The body positivity, there's a great article in Forbes magazine, I think somewhere around 2021, 2022, that gave a lot of insight as to how the whole body positivity movement started. It had nothing to do with obesity, but there was an article that came out in the Journal of Obesity that implied that the body positivity movement was contributing to the obesity epidemic. The media then ran with that and change this conversation to what we're discussing today in terms of it being a problem and something that was contributing to the disease of obesity, which is a mainstream culture myth as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. You need to be able to be actually body positive if you want to be able to change your health. Okay. And so this actually is a conversation that started out of a desire for more equity and inclusion in terms of how people are looking at larger bodies, different colors, different genders. That's what the broader conversation is supposed to be about. So back to your question is that can you be body positive and still lose weight? I think they're not mutually exclusive. You know, somebody like who lives, one, I am a Black woman living in America, fighting all kinds of stereotypes, including living in a larger body. And so, that being said, I have had to become body positive in order to continue on this journey.
Liz, what do you think? Can you be body positive and still want to lose weight?
I absolutely think so. I have lived with obesity my whole life, and which means I was struggling with obesity before society told me that I needed to hate my body because of it. And I remember a time when I certainly had the disease of obesity, but I wasn't self-conscious about my body and could go and play on the playground and just be in my body and appreciate what my body could do. And I think that is a beautiful thing, to be able to appreciate what our bodies can do for us and all that our bodies do. For me, now in still living with obesity, still struggling with it, what I take from the body positivity idea is that I can love myself enough to want to work to be well. And wellness looks different for everybody. And for people living with obesity, that's going to be different than someone who lives in a smaller body. But I still have to do it out of love for myself and not out of self-hate.
Very interesting. Marty, what are your thoughts on this?
I so agree with Liz. I struggled for many years. I'm 56 years old, so I've lived with obesity since I was 11, and it's only in the last, I would say, the last 10 years of my life that I have embraced who I am, and my body size. My body size it directed how I was for so many years of my life. Um, I allowed it into my head, and from a mental health perspective, I allowed it to eat me up and beat me down, and I allowed every single person who ever said anything bad about me to get into my head. And as I say, about 10 years ago, I just said, enough. I'm going to live my life and I'm going to do all the things that I want to do. And especially now that I've reached past the 50 point of life, I'm on the downside of life. And so I know that I'm still being healthy. I'm still losing a little bit of weight every single month. I have a pound lost. Am I still a big guy? Absolutely. I'm still 363 pounds. So I'm still considered a morbidly obese human being, but I'm not 505 pounds anymore. So the things I can do now far outweigh what I could do 10 years ago. That I can go out and I can walk and I can dance, and I don't give two bits what anyone has to say, because I'm just going to live whatever time I have on this earth that I've got left. I want to make a difference in my life, and I want to make a difference in those people's lives that are living with obesity. And I want to empower them to know that they don't have to hear all of what's being said out there, that you just be you, live your life, and do all the things that you want to do. It's as simple as that.
Very well said, Marty. And we know we have a lot of healthcare providers who are tuning into this episode. So Sarah, how can healthcare providers promote body positivity in their patients with obesity?
I think the first step, and I know probably everyone would agree, um, ask us what our personal goals are with our health. Don't assume weight is a issue for us in ways it might not be an issue for us. I know personally for me, metabolically, a lot of my stats are normal, but my weight affects me in other ways. But ask, of course, always start with, asking permission to discuss it if they're comfortable, and then ask what their personal goals are. For myself, my mobility is an issue. Um, and just celebrate with us the little goals. I've always hated to be given, first of all, some unrealistic weight expectation, lose 10 pounds before your next appointment. And then I come back and I've lost maybe 2 pounds. And instead of being congratulated on that achievement, I'm scolded because I didn't meet their expectations. And that makes me, it doesn't motivate me whatsoever. So I'd rather have, I always want a doctor who, we talk about patient centered care. So I want a doctor who understands what my health goals are and that I'm part of their team and who cheers me on. I mean, most recently, um, I have reasons why I need to lose weight because I need to get some other medical care that unfortunately, has weight restrictions. Um, I was asking my doctor about something and she said, well, since you've had success with your recent weight reduction efforts, and I was like, I haven't, I mean, I don't think ever in my life the word success has been used with that, term. But the fact is I had reached the first goal I needed to have a procedure done and I had that. But it was just really kind of a shock to me, like that positive. But she was right. It was just like mind boggling to me to think I'd never had a doctor say that to me. I had set a goal and had reached it. Am I anywhere near what society would say is a typical BMI or weight? No, but what my health goal was personally, I met that and accomplished it, and now I've just set a new one that I want to meet.
And Michelle, you're a nurse by trade. Do you have any suggestions for your colleagues on how they can promote body positivity in their patients with obesity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with many of the things that Sarah just said. Actually, I agree with everything that you just said, Sarah, because I've been there. I've been there when, people setting these lofty goals for you. So what I say to colleagues is that, listen, you need to be willing to listen from with compassion, and you need to be willing to um, see people. You need to ask people. You need to listen, and you need to not imply your implicit biases when you're talking to people. And we all have implicit bias to some degree, but I think when it comes to people who are living with a chronic disease, you wouldn't say to somebody who has diabetes or heart disease like, oh, I can't believe that you did, X, Y, and Z. You would meet them exactly where they are. And so it's the same thing when you're talking about someone who's living with obesity. It's like, ask me what I'm feeling, ask me what are my health goals, ask me what I've been doing, and then believe me. Don't give me that look like, oh, I don't know if that's the truth. Because how many times you walk into a doctor's office and they, you know, have that biased judgmental look on their face when you tell them you've been doing all of the things and the number on the scale doesn't say what they think it should say, or your BMI is not aligned with what it's supposed to be. Then it becomes a whole judgmental, shameful kind of conversation. And I think that, and we're talking about body positivity, it doesn't make me want to go back to that doctor because now I'm feeling shame and I'm feeling like whatever I'm doing doesn't really matter because what the external messages are.
Yeah, excellent
So,
points. And as we're nearing the end of the conversation, I would love to hear how each of you practice body positivity. And Melinda, I'll start with you.
Sure. As I said before, I lived in a larger body and now I'm in a smaller body, and it's a struggle because society imposes so many influences on us about how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to feel, what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. And so even in a smaller body, it's hard to every day wake up and say, I'm okay, I accept my body, go about my business. And it seems hard to believe that that's the reality, but it is. And I talk to people and I find that it's not an easy thing to achieve. I think it's much more difficult than people recognize.
Sarah?
I love watching ice skaters and gymnastics, and I always kind of laugh to myself that I so enjoy these sports that I would never be able to do, but it amazes me what their bodies can do. And then I stop and think that it's amazing what my body can do at this size. I go to Washington, D.C., I walk around Capitol Hill and have these meetings with, members of congressional staff. I was a caretaker for my mother last year. Given all the health issues I've had and the burden of carrying this weight, because I mean it is a burden, but I just think of like what amazing my body is because it can still function and do what it does despite what society and the scientific field even says it shouldn't be able to do.
Marty?
We have been told, for many of us living with obesity, we've been told countless, hundreds of times how we should be. And what I say is push all of the voices aside and be who you are and do all the things that you want to do. And don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, because each of us has been so resilient in our journeys, and each one of our journeys is so individual and so unique, but we've all achieved so many amazing things. And I think about all the people that are on this call and they're in this video right now. And I've had the opportunity to meet you all, and we've all had such amazing journeys and we've all done such amazing things. And I don't want you to forget all of those amazing things that you've done and all of the things that you've achieved, because there will be people that are in your head telling you that you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. Just go and do the things that bring you joy, because you might not be here tomorrow, but you might as well make today the very best day that it can possibly be. So live your life. Simple as that.
Liz?
For me, I have really been working on rewiring my brain when it comes to how I speak to myself. I realized I was my own worst bully sometimes when it came to weight and my health. And now I try to talk to myself in the same way I would talk to my kids. And if I can't say something to my kids out loud, why would I say it to myself in my head? And I'm going to choose to love myself as much as I love my family. Because I want to be here for my family, I want to be a part of all of the amazing people who I work with in all sorts of aspects of OAC and everything that I get to do. And to do that, I need to show up for me too. And that's what body positivity is for me, is showing up for me and not being my own biggest bully.
Last but not least, Michelle.
Well, I concur with all of my wonderful friends here at OAC, but for me personally, I have done a lot of work to become extremely intentional about self love. And I literally every day look myself in the mirror and say, girl, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of being positive. You know, in a couple of months, I will be 60 years young, and I am in better shape and better health than I probably was in my 30s. And that deserves celebrating. So I feel like the mindfulness and the kind of gratitude that I now afford myself, because I look at the past and I look at where I was and I look at where I'm at now, and I also remind myself that, you know, I'm a pretty loving, gregarious person. Anybody that I meet and show kindness, why in the world do I not feel that I deserve to show that to myself?
Very, very well said. Thank you all for sharing these points, and thank you to each of you for joining in this important discussion. The ultimate goals of body positivity involve promoting respect and acceptance of differences and the right for each of us to choose what is best for our health. These are also the goals of the Obesity Action Coalition. We know this conversation will spark discussion, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts. We encourage you to continue the conversation on our social channels. You'll find all the links in the description. We hope all of you enjoyed this edition of OAC's Fresh Perspectives. And until next time, have a great day.